But I'll ask one more time. Are you all ready to welcome our feature to the stage? Thank you so much for coming out. And everyone, this is Serena.
Where now have passed the quick flutterings of paper wings, my angel of discord falls from darkness into greater darkness. The paper has yellowed and drifted away. Her skeletal wings have caught the fire. They wear it like flesh. It is vision, cloaked in folly, far from the black and silver skies. She comes into my heart like forks of lightning. I bleed the fluid of immediacy. It is poison mixed with rapture. It is fate wrapped in fire. These are my baptismal flames. I have found my light and she is peaceless. I have seen my life, it is in pieces. I whisper from my heart, it is a dying star. How can I offer her a dying star, give her rivers when she is made of fire? She is naked and falling away from her wings, and what was parched is scorched, and words, they are clothing, the coverings of the mind. I love you is all that sounds alive, though my heart is a dying star. And still it rages like wildfire for you, still it beats for you like rain against the dry soil. And I cradle the pieces of you like precious gems. They fall from darkness into greater darkness. They fall far from dying stars, tarnished by my hands. And still I see them bright like garnets and rubies, wrapped in polished lights in my hands. And it moves me to think that all I need can be held within my palms. And it scares me to think that I could let go of a whole universe, that this world, so small, is the most infinite of galaxies. I just need to keep drinking liquid.
Would you like some more?
Yeah. Thank you. And though I have been born again and again into this pain, gone around and around the wheel, felt you bound by the electric chains, seen you fall from darkness into greater darkness over and over again, though I have been crushed by the wheel and formed into human shape anew, I touch you once more, and the more I meet you, the more I need you. And you say this is the rain, and I know the sound of rain. Your mother is the earth, and mine is the sky, and sometimes they touch, and their meeting is called the horizon, and their song is forever. There is a place inside our hearts. It is a space inside of hell. It is paper consumed by fire. And you have felt tears. They run like rain inside of you, always inside of you. And you scream, where are you? Why can't I find you? And I cry, here I am, but I do not need to be. I love you, but it is only me. My angel's name is discord. She falls from darkness into greater darkness. She knows she is salvation. She does not know how she can save. And far from here are the black and silver skies, and fire does not cleanse, it only burns, and she always goes from parched to scorched, and irony is the strange metal that is warped by the flames that she wears like skin. I give her my heart, that dying star, But how can I offer her a dying star when she is cold and naked within the flames? And that is irony. And irony has become religion. Long ago I found out you were God, and so I struggled to find this God, which was stuck inside the mirror. It's still trapped behind the glass. And my path to the mirror was made of sand, and sometimes it was dry and cool, and I could walk toward the mirror, I would not falter, and there were times I could see, so close to the glass, so clear that it cut me. And the ghost in the glass was a piece of me that could not believe that it was God. And my path became quicksand. It was all too clear, and it dragged me under like I was iron. And so I fell from darkness into greater darkness, never shattered the glass, tore a hole in the sand, and through the gaping floor of my bleeding path, I saw her clothed in fire, the flames like flesh, her eyes were mercy, and here was my fate. And how could I have ever thought that a mirror would be stuck in the sand with my eyes inside it and the desert around it? And I still believe that we are God. Luna was Harmony's lover before Evangeline and after Vanilla Glitter. They made each other's acquaintance implicitly in the quiet repetition of his circumambulations. He and his tribe had taken root in their home, befriended her housemates, and settled into the dust of each other's comings and goings, gaining a vaguely intuitive knowledge of one another's existence. During the long fallen nights, Harmony would pace the stripped wooden floor of the old Victorian, plod up the subtly spiraling staircase, and down the naked hallway, glancing into the gaping openness of bedrooms vibrant with Luna's lovemaking. The objects of her affections, as well as the evening's chosen boudoir, changed with the turning of the day's pages as she honored the sacrament of her femininity in a solemn joining of divine ritual with intoxicated bliss. The noises of her unions were scattered to the wind like dandelions, marked neither by caution nor by consciousness. Harmony didn't know whether to be disturbed or aroused by the displays, and, flustered, would pull the door shut quickly behind her. One night he was glum and she was lonely, and so she pulled him into her bedroom, then further into her inner chambers, and consummated their acquaintance. Vanilla Glitter cried, vociferated, and threw pans, and Luna left her lofty temple to join the crooner in his dusty caravan. She was home. Evangeline knew that Everyone knew that Harmony and Evangeline had practically moved into each other's skin. She was Uranian and electric, and he possessed a sad sort of magnetism that pulled you into the world inside him and made you hold his heavy heart in your hands. And when they fused with each other, their molecules mixing, etheric bodies shedding their separateness, each melting into the very pores of each other's flesh, they were pacified like wailing infants taken into their mother's arms again. And always when they joined, and they did so with the frequency of the sun's rising and setting, and the moon's gradual fading in and out, into and out of night, and all of the phases in between. They would be haunted by the lurking crepuscule and his timid doppelganger, and the two become one, would be three. The doppelganger was frightened by his twin crepuscule, and by the world, and by Evangeline, who lived in the world and carried its imprint upon her. And when he pulled into the synergic vortex, the fear diffused through the snaking channels, weaving a gruesome tapestry of disease and deceit through harmony's moral fibers. Crepuscule, it seemed, was not compelled to possess, but came of his own volition, for unlike his submissive brother, he reveled in all forms of grasping, less when met with an offering, voraciously when the soul would be diminished by his thievery. He wore an amulet upon which was inscribed the word malice in a language that was lost or foreign or simply unknown. And although illegible, the script conveyed an inherent pointed wickedness. The incorporeal crepuscule wormed into the very coupling of the pair, taking fiendish pleasure in whispering what-ifs of Evangeline into her lover's ear. He wedged his mucky vapors between the fleshy folds conjoined by the suction of the couple's fluids, flattening and folding the girl to infiltrate her spaces. Ghostly though crepuscule remained, Vanjie swallowed his form in ascending force, a stench of indulgence, deepening with her swelling waves of pain. During the sweltering high season, Harmony set himself up to crave cotton candy. He reached out to the endless carnival sky with the charcoal tendrils that were his arms and grasped at clouds that appeared closer than treetops, grabbing wisps of cigar smoke and the ghostly coattails of dead carnies. He savored the memory of its pinky sweetness, tasted the tiny crystals that crunched amidst the soft spun folds, rolled like a roasting pig in the stratified summer sunsets, and licked at the flesh of nostalgia. He cultivated his longing like fluffy crops in carousel fields, welcoming the welling tears and the swelling sadness in his sternum, voice constricting, calling in the fullness of wanting. Cotton candy, the non-stuff of the peripheral. Is it the big or the little things that count the most, Vanjie? Both, of course, she replied. Okay. Harmony's candy was the weaving into form of the little things he could never quite seize. The uncomplicated conversation at supper, the cool breeze brushing over bare arms, the cheaply gained opportunity, contract, kiss. Hunched under the weight of so much rope, he moaned and turned the features of the world into tongue depressors, which impaled the pastel puffs, no longer beyond his grip. And during this season that sweated forth the debris of mortal desires, he tossed down wine and flung himself into a furious whirl of conquest, a zombie movie at midnight, a naked embrace that tingled with newness and tugged with shame. Candy, bitter and sweet. At last fulfilled, he slept, entangled in a twist of blankets, fingers, thighs, and hair, awakening cotton-mouthed at the sun's resurrection. There I was, cloaked in doing this. I hold no vision of who I am, while there I sit, crumpled into myself again, against the corner window pane, naked, eyes encircled with the mark of another year. And I, the doer, approach myself with that oblivious cadence, and I, enfolded into my layered shrouds gone colorless now, erase even the remnants of yellow dawn in that space between my thorax and navel. No greater awareness of me there in my transparent web do I, the doer, hold. And so I tear through the fibers with that automatic lusting outwardly into me, extending a hand conditioned by clinging. And I reach for the closer breast of my mimetic echo, just brushing over the teardrop of violet-veined apathy before turning away. For I there shrink now into the fluid gray blackness of the joining walls. And so I walk with that pace of illusory knowingness into the furnished room, busy with the entangled doings of my bandmates, while invisible auntie haunts the kitchen, overturning long yellow-white laces inside the iron pot, rhythmic with bubbling. Harmony shuffles papers with one fingertip upon the glassy surface of the table, rusted over with collected disappointments, while vanilla glitter lies wilted over the arm of the fattened chair with its various rips and cottony insides poking through as she scans the back cover of the late Kathy Acker, retrieving phone cards and bubblegum cubes lodged within the planks of the naked floor. Did I think to tell Auntie that I there had retracted into near catatonia? Such shallow breaths, like the atrophy of a birch tree, into a reed. And the other musicians coupled off into discordant harmonies, dissonant laughter, or kissing to connote. Who was to know that the old misshapen house was, in fact, 40 levels high, when I witnessed myself plunging to a vertical and streamlined demise, stringy hair undulating spectacularly upward before hitting the piss and spit-encrusted pavement with a subtly resonant thud than the internal musical shattering of fine bones.